Random enlightened commentary.
So I said I wasn't going to talk about it because I feel like it's been talked about to death. Sometimes when you're making videos, you're torn between talking about a viral issue or actually talking about something that isn't so mainstream. I prepared this like the week of, but due to laziness and just me trying to catch up on my own mental fortitude, I'm late to the game, but we're just gonna say this and I'm gonna just say this piece and I'm gonna be done. And then that's just it. I'm not gonna say any more on the issue because it has been talked to death. So, by now, we already know the biggest moment in Oscar history happened. And no, it's not the most wins for marginalized communities that we've ever seen before, or the fact that we've had 3 hosts for the first time, 2 which happen to be women of color. It's the slap. The slap that they've dubbed the slap that can be heard around the world. Wow, how original. For the record, I stopped watching the Oscars when I was in high school, which is now over 10 years ago. It just got so dull to me. It felt so redundant. And this event made me realize just how united in our boredom we all have been with the Oscars. But wow, man, I was not expecting these Oscars to be so different. That was definitely not Will Smith at his best, which contradicts what was supposed to be a great moment of achievement for him. It's unfortunate. You're conflicted because you understand that he's human, but at the same time, totally uncalled for. Even if you don't like a joke or don't like what someone says, there are other ways to resolve it. To know what to do in those moments, sometimes in those moments you can choose to take action. There are so many different cues you can use to let the other person know that that is not okay. Or you walk away. Being the fact that it's a public live event and there's an image that you have to uphold. There are definitely other ways to go about it. I just wanted to use this moment to kind of highlight something that hasn't really been talked about in the mainstream media around this incident. And frankly, it's a fundamental issue in society that seems to be on the rise, and that's the lack of awareness around consequences that follow our actions. And this, I'm not talking so much about the slap itself as much as the events that led to this moment. In society, we've come to value and highlight reactionary conduct, even monetize on it. At this point, it's become a culture. It's not surprising to see that eventually we would see that coming around full circle in a moment where we weren't really able to turn away. We've shown each other that reactionary behavior is perfectly acceptable in any and all situations. Official statements or apologies today not condemning such behavior feel tone deaf because the general actions that follow don't really show accountability. That type of behavior isn't really corrected in today's society, but more so celebrated. And in the occasional times that it is ever corrected, it's simply swept under the rug to hopefully be forgotten in the midst of tons of societal distractions that we have. However, unfortunately for the Academy, no one is forgetting this anytime soon. Will's actions from that night are his own, just like any of the actions that we take are our own. There are consequences that follow actions, whether or not you agree with them. We own our actions at the end of the day. However, it seems like we only want to own our actions when it reaps rewards, not when it brings us problems. And we can either choose to take ownership of our actions or not. It's that plain and simple. You can't have your cake and eat it too and then tell the rest of the world, let them eat cake, without that coming back to bite you in some way. There's a really good YouTube video actually that I listened to months ago that I think does far more justice in talking about the idea of owning your actions, the fact that there are consequences to our actions. Again, we can like them, we can agree with them, we can disagree with them, we can not like them, but at the end of the day, there's a cause and effect. I'll put that video in the description below. Definitely take a listen to it. I think it does a very good job. With the whole situation with the Will's response, it was less about the joke, which honestly, that joke was pretty tame. A lot of people said it, but even I thought was pretty tame by Hollywood standards. I've seen a lot more crude jokes. And to be honest, I didn't even know until that night. Or I guess technically I watched after it happened, but I didn't know that Jada had alopecia until really after that event. So isn't it possible that maybe Chris didn't know either? I know they post a lot about their personal lives, but we're not following that closely, to be honest. We really aren't. So it could just be he didn't know, and that was just poor timing. I mean, Jada rocks some really cool looks, so I really thought she just shaved her head because she wanted to, quite honestly. And I thought she looked good, so I didn't know it was because of alopecia. And where this all started, we all remember the whole red table talk that shook the foundations of what we thought we knew about Will and Jada's relationship, and I was even surprised that this business would be put out there when it really didn't need to. But it was what was done, and there was a reaction, there was an aftermath for that. Again, there are consequences to actions, and for anyone, especially celebrities, putting out your business to the world can be weaponized against you, unfortunately. Doesn't mean that it's right. It's something that can happen and unfortunately does happen. I really wish that weren't the case, but there are people out there whose intent is just to do harm, whether it's for attention or just to cause chaos. Contrary to viral media culture and commercialism, you don't owe the world any window into your personal life. They haven't earned enough of your trust to be given any type of stewardship over any aspect of it. That's just how it is. And I hope, this is a teachable moment beyond just what happened. I know I referenced different details of the incident or reference things that could have led up to it, but I really hope it's a moment that goes beyond it to maybe having more of a conversation about how, again, our actions have consequences. On a lighter note, I am looking forward to seeing the conspiracy theories. Another theory that I haven't really heard of anyone capitalizing on this theory, the fact that Jada imprisoned the real Will, and the Will that we saw was a robot programmed to execute Order 21356, seek and destroy. Now, that is something that I would love to have seen as far as a conspiracy theory. Forget G.I. Jane 2, give me iRobot, Reloaded, the one sequel I can actually believe in, and you got me sold.